Hi, I'm Bonnie, Log Cabin Stitcher. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my sewing room. I'm so excited to show you the project that I worked on since I was last with you guys. And this is September, so it's Sampler September is what I would be doing, which is stitching sampler cross stitch in the month of September. But I made a Sampler September stitching box, and I'm going to share with you the details of how I made it. I don't do tutorials, so it's kind of one of those tutorials, not tutorials, but it was so much fun and I was so excited about it. And it's something that I was going to say it would be so easy to make. No, it took me all evening to put together, but it's very doable and it's with this pattern. So I'm going to jump right into it because I have a lot of chit chat that I will share later. But this, oh my word, I was just so excited about how this turned out, and there's treats inside. Should I share you now? Here we go. Let's see if I dump everything out. Look at this. Look at that. Oops, there goes the threads. Look at that. I even made a little miniature needle book. So how did I do that, and why did I dump the threads out? We'll put those threads back in. So I know I'm like so excited I can hardly stand it. So here we go. So this is the pattern. It's from Threadwork Primitives, and it's called Never Fading. I purchased it for this pattern because I have a collection of skeleton keys and old buttons, and I bought it for this. But then when I was, I think, showing it in one of my plans, I was like, oh, there's a Pinkeep, and now I am so into finishing pillows. I did that one, and I'm just trying to come up with, excuse me, I just took a big drink of water. I'm trying to come up with different ways of using all my stitching projects to fit in the smaller home that we're in and to fit with my decorating style, and just to show you why I love these kinds of things. I've always enjoyed funky little boxes or bowls or jars to put my stitching stuff in. Now, last video I did was my 1-year Flossiversary, so I was showing all the items that I had fully finished. And a lot of those fully finished items were unusual. They were project bags that I made with a stitching project. They were needle books. I love needle books, and so I made a lot of different needle books with those cross stitching and other items. And so that's the last video. This will be number 35, so that was number 34. Now, I have shared some of these other things along the way, but I thought this really shows you why I love this kind of stuff. And I was showing my husband after I finished every part of it. I ran in and I said, okay, here's the next part. And he knows all the funny things that I like, and he was enjoying it. But this is the kind of stuff that I love and I collect. So needle felting, I made these years ago, and I have not actually needle felted for quite a while, but I have several of these. So wool inside for the needles. These are the needle pads that I use from Colonial. So you can get those on Amazon if you want, but I use those all the time for not cross stitch, but almost all the other stitching that I do. So this is a fun thing to have for me. Then this is another one, and this is that same design, but this is with different pins. So these are, you're going to see these in my project. These are by Clover, and they're I think they're called glass head. They're very thin, and so they're for delicate items because they will bend, but they are beautiful. My sister gave me a box of them. And again, the wool, but also I do a lot of things with the Valdani pearl cotton balls, and so it needs a little bit more space. And then of course the little sticky thing, and then this is the other thing. This is why I need my needle books, my ultra fine needle threader for my applique, my hand applique needles. I can almost not even see the eye, let alone trying to thread that. So I use those, and I ordered those bulk from Peacemakers, P-I-E-C-E-M-A-K-E-R-S in Costa Mesa. So another one, and I have these displayed, so they're functional yet collectible and gorgeous, and I made them. And I can say they're gorgeous because I think they're gorgeous. So here's another little fat fluffy lamb. This one, I think I showed last time, this is my finishing stuff. So larger needles for lacing, my larger, thicker threads that I'm going to use up for lacing before I even purchase whatever Vonna recommended, just because I want to use up stuff I have. So the last video that I did, and I think the one before, I shared something that this is going to be for a while. Stitch what you got. So instead of the craziness of all the purchasing that I did in the first year that I got into cross stitching, I worked more in 2020 than I ever had in a single year in my 12-year career that I've been doing. And so instead of being wise and saving that for when I'm in my slump now, no, I bought a lot of cross stitching stuff. I have a supply, beautiful supply. So now, stitch what you got, girl. That is my motto, and I'm living that out. Or at least so far for a month. I've been good. So stitch what you got, even as far as all my supplies, because I have a lifetime. I started sewing when I was 16. I started stitching when I was a little girl. So I have a lot of stuff. I inherited a lot of my mother's supplies. And then I have other people that are like, I don't want these, you know, give them to me. And man, high quality needles, I'll never need to buy another one unless it's a specialty needle, because I have been given a lot, even some that are like almost antique-y. They're still great. So I digress, or do I? I go down a rabbit trail and take you guys with me. So here's one I have had. I love plastic boxes. I don't even know what brand this is. I got this probably 20 years ago. 20 years ago. This is great because this works great when I do hand quilting, because I use the pins. So my pinning is my basting method. So the pins go in here. This is my ball of Valdani. I have a collection of Valdani. This color is gorgeous. It's JP12. And I use size 12, so a beautiful faded blue. And then I have lots of scissors. This was what I inherited from Mom. This is great because it has serrated edges, so it would be really great for wool as well. The only thing missing here is usually I put a small needle book. Now, if I'm here sewing in my sewing room, I've got stuff everywhere, but if I take stuff to our cabin or I take stuff out with me somewhere, I usually throw a small needle book in here. And that's where I'm needing smaller and smaller needle books. But also sometimes I just stick the needle that I would use in that ball of thread. A lot of people have asked me from my quilting videos what quilting needles that I use. I use an embroidery needle for my hand quilting because I want to get a lot, I want a thin needle and that I can get a lot of those running stitches on it. So I generally use an embroidery needle. I get the packs of size 5 through 10, and my guess is I probably use like an 8 or 9 for the most part. I've had this forever. I remember the first time I took this out to Colorado, and my mom and I were sitting in their great sewing, not a great room, it was a great room with a beautiful view. And she said, oh, I love that. She loved all the stickers that I put on it. So that one I've had for a very, very long time. This one too, it needs a good wash, but someone gave this to me. Probably had cards in it. I think it was my friend Linda, who knows I like cute little tins, and it's great because I can get a lot of stuff in here, and the Valdani pearl cotton. So I just have collections, and it's just all the fun. It's like the toys that we use, so it's not just the stitching, it's all the wonderful things that go along with it. So that's why when I started getting into cross stitch this last year, I thought, oh, what kind of fun things can I do? And that's what I've been doing, a lot of fun things. This is something else that I shared about, an olive wood bowl that I used coconut oil on to bring out the beauty and the luster of the wood. My Valdani, I've been back into hand quilting again, so that's when I get all my, I have so many different projects going. So this beautiful, and then I can also put my I can use this for an Ort container, but which is just the threads that we have that are left over from our cross stitching. But also I can put in those pins, those bent safety pins from when I'm hand quilting. I can do that, and then this is my darling little needle book that goes in it. So this was the inspiration, and I did share about this last time, but because I'm going to share with you my little mini one, let's show this again. Free pattern on Stone Street Stitchworks called Sweetheart. This was Oatmeal by Gentle Arts, and Aztec Red by Weeks, and I want to, it's probably 36. I generally buy 36. So let's have that where I can put that. So this was my model. I just wanted a smaller one. So I have had lots of needle books, and so I just made this based on another one. I just don't do tutorials, guys. But here's what I wanted. I just wanted something small, but it needed to fit within that box. So I have really not been doing Instagram probably for a month and a half now, just because when life gets too much for me, I am by nature an introvert. And so when I go to work, I talk. And so a lot of times I just want to like, not talk and just stitch, and social media is interacting. So I just have kind of I just haven't done much with Instagram lately. But when I was making my little tiny needle book last night, I thought, oh, if I take pictures along the way, that's kind of like my tutorial, not tutorial. I am not even caring to learn. Isn't that sad? No, I do this. I do this for you guys, but I do it my way. I don't want to learn about editing. I had one bad experience and I thought, whatever. So I don't know how to input pictures in here. And honestly, I'm not going to take the time to invest to learn that, because I don't like technology. So what I know how to do, I took pictures along the way. I will post them to Instagram. So my Instagram profile is Bonnie Log Cabin Stitcher, and I will put this on sometime this weekend, because honestly I'll spend the work to upload this, and then I go to work, and then I'll probably forget all about it. So by this weekend I will upload the pictures for my little needle box. But back to this, now that we're at 12 minutes, I wanted you to see why this just excited me so much. Not that I needed one, but I had been dreaming about this for the last 2 weeks. Now, preface this to say, too, that I read an article. We get the Epic Times, a very conservative newspaper. And I read an article. They have one about, like, mind and body, a section. And I read an article, and it was like, purposeful daydreaming helps your stress level and creativity, something like that. And I thought, oh, I like that. So I skimmed the article, I read it, but it was basically saying, if we are daydreaming and we're going over and over and over the crazy, the negative things in our life, or the stupid things that we said and we just can't get that out of our brain, or the angry thing that someone said to us, that's not good. That's a crazy cycle. I've been to self-help groups, so crazy cycle. Well, the crazy cycle is technically not that, but I call it a crazy cycle. Then I know for me, when I've got lots going on, or I've been talking, I just need to stop my mouth, which I can't do right now, and let my mind wander on positive things. So I daydream, I dream, I plan, and I'm very visual, so I have to be careful when I'm driving, but I'm visual, so I'm planning, and then I draw things out. And these last 2 weeks, I'll chat a little bit about this at the end of the video. The last 2 weeks have been incredibly challenging for me, and my depression has accentuated. And so what do I do so I can stay functional? Because I'm not going to the crazy land. So what I do is do stuff in my sewing room and have fun. But mental exhaustion has been there. So sometimes I just sit and I plan and I play and I draw rather than stitch. So I drew this out. but I don't know, I was going to say, I don't know why this excites me so much. It could be that when I was stitching this, I was thinking about very stressful, depressing, hard things going on, and I was stitching. And in a sense, I like redeemed it. At first, when I was looking at this stitched and laying on my quilt table, it was like, oh, I remembered all the stuff that I was watching or reading or discussing or having phone calls with people about. And I thought, I don't know that I even want that project. So maybe that's where I'm so loving this right now, because I turned something hard into something precious. And my precious. Anyway, I can analyze anything. I even kind of wore this shirt so it matched this. That's how excited I was. But I had all these finished. It only took me a couple days to make all these components to it. But I knew that finishing it was going to take a while, and I probably took 4 hours last night to put this together. So when I made this top, it was with Vonna Pfeiffer's help. She was kind of here in my sewing room with me when I was watching her tutorials, but this is basically from the flat fold idea of lacing. And I want to show you, and I had shown you this before, but I know I get new viewers and you may not want to go back and watch all my old ones. But I say, because I'm a quilter, these are the pieces that come when you get pre-cuts. Layer cakes, this is a layer cake, and it's hard cardboard. So you can buy chipboard, but I'm using what I got, stitching what I got. And I even took the notes, but I put them down on my paper so I can share with you the dimensions. So that was what I used. I used a piece of the hard cardboard, and then I used a piece of batting. It's upside down. Then I used the interfacing, the fusible interfacing that Vonna recommends. I remember I talked about it before, but I don't know that I told you why she recommends it. It's because sometimes the stitching can come loose if you haven't anchored it down well. But when you do that interfacing on the back, it is, I wrote it down, P44F like in Frank, or F like in fusible. It's a lightweight pellon, and it holds the stitches in place. Then I also use, this is very important, and I learned about why when I was watching Kitten Stitcher. I love to gather tips and tricks, and that's why I like to show them. I inherited this from my mom. This is just a ironing cloth. And so it's just a nice padded, thick, not padded, a thick cloth. And if I have something small, I will fold it like this, and I will turn my stitched item upside down. So the stitching is facing down, getting absorbed into this rather than flattened with the iron. And I want to make sure that I keep those stitches where they have the dimension. What Teresa Kitten Stitcher was saying is our cross stitch has facets in that concept, like a diamond or a gem has facets, and it draws the light and it draws you in and it reflects. Cross stitching, if it's mashed flat, it loses that beautiful depth and dimension. And that's part of the reason why when I show my whips, I don't iron them very often, because I love that dimension, and it also takes time when I'd rather be stitching. So two honest things. So that's something important. And then I used one piece of batting. I used the Warm and Natural batting because it's a thicker batting, because now I like to use a thinner batting with my quilts. Then I had very super small, thin chenille. So this was by, oh, I already put it away, but it was called Toasted Meringue, but it was a tiny, tiny chenille as opposed to that one. Super tiny. When I got it, it was a lot smaller when I got it than I expected. And I thought, well, that'll be for Christmas ornaments or something. But I did not, I wanted the chenille simply to cover the edges that you could see, because it's like a present. When you fold it over, you can see a fold, and I thought, not gonna work. So literally it took me a long time to get this on, and I used the Aleen's tacky glue, but I got it as flat. I pressed these edges down, like I would glue it, and I would press it and press it and press it until it kind of dried a little bit, and then I would get that chenille on just as thin as I could of the tacky glue. Then I would do this next one and press it down because I wanted it tight. And see, you don't see those raw edges. So the outside of this box, well, what is this box? This is a box, it's like $2 or $3 from Hobby Lobby. This is the plain card box, and I first saw a tutorial that Lori Mischievous Stitches did long ago. And if you just search Mischievous Stitches, maybe I'll link it, maybe I won't. But if you just search Mischievous Stitches, I think it's plain card box, but this is where I learned about brie wax. So I got this box. This is what they look like. This is a raw one because I bought several at one time because that's what I do. Just a raw wood, and it's, see, this one is going to be in the works for something else, and it's just for 2 sets of playing cards. I took this up to the cabin this weekend, or this summer, because my husband was making trim for the inside of our windows, and he was using a pecan stain. So I thought, oh, what would this look like stained? So because he was already making a mess, I said, can you just stain this for me? And then I used the brie wax, which is the Tudor brown that Lori recommended for that project. I used that, so it got even darker. I love how it does this because I'm a prim person. I'm primitive. So I love how it did that darker, and it really shows the wood. And if you follow me, you know how much I love wood. It just happened to match perfect. I did not stitch this in mind to do this. I was going to do it as a pillow. So as I was stitching and dreaming and thinking, I thought, oh, how would that look? Because I was going to do something else with this. So I thought, oh my goodness, it looks beautiful. See, I'm going to take a half hour to show you this whole thing. Okay, so that is this. Now, 36 count, which is what's called for. So the Pinkeep is actually called for 36 count, and it's called, I think it was called for vintage sand dune, but I didn't have enough vintage sand dune, or so I thought, to do that. But I had Old Towne Blend, a very small piece that I bought from 123 Stitch, and that's why that needle book is kind of so small, because that's the piece that I had left. So 36 count. So if you want to replicate this, again, stitch what you got. If you've got something, just measure it and see if it'll work. So I'm really advocating stitch what you got. But if you want to do it just like this, it is 36 count. This is the called for. This is Otter Creek. This is what I had. This is supposed to be burlap. I used Valdani. I think it's Tarnished. I'll put it in the notes. It was a Valdani 6-strand floss. I don't like Valdani. And I just wanted to use it up because it was a similar color. So it actually looks pretty, but use what you got. I bet you've got something. Or use whatever. Use what they call for. But it did look kind of cool here. And then this called for, I think, barn gray. I didn't have it. So that looks so beautiful with it. It is, I have forgotten everything. Oh, I know. I've got my book. I also have something on the ground now. Okay. Oh, I'm going to put this on. You know what? I can take a story and make it last forever. So this is the whole video is going to be about this thing. So Otter Creek called for Valdani 6-strand. It is an older one. It's not going to be the same if you buy it now. They've changed. Tarnished Gold P5. Oh, the flowers are Mountain Mist for the flowers. Now, this was the drawing. This is my stitching journal. So this is what I did. I drew stuff out. I drew what I wanted. Once I realized what I was going to do, I drew stuff out. And that's how I came up with, that's how I kind of came up with what I was going to do. But you know, drawing something is a whole lot easier than making something. So I knew I don't like when I hear noises. So I knew I'm going to take these threads. Well, they're going to fall out because I'm tilting it. I love the Aurifil. They're cherry wood. This is 80 weight. I use this for both my wool applique and for my hand applique with fabric. Yeah, with fabric. So I knew I didn't like noises. So I have a lot of wool. And so I used the wool that I wanted at the bottom. And it was funny because I was going to use this for the backing of this pincushion. But what it did was it made a template. This fits exactly. And I wrote down the measurements. I should not have put this away. So if you want to do that same thing, oh goodness, girl. I wrote down the measurements. Oh, here we go. Pocket interior. Oh well. You can measure it and find it out. I can measure it too. All right, guys, this is where I really should push stop and re-record it, but I'm not going to do it because I got to go to work. 2.5 by 3 3/4. 2.5 by 3 3/4. This fit exactly for these pieces. So all I did was I took my wool and I used this. I used my rotary cutter and used this as a template for the wool. And then I used the Aleen's Tacky glue and I pressed it in there. And then I have the wool at the bottom. So just so you can see the colors, because the colors really make me happy. Okay, then what else should I tell you about this? Okay, this I had gotten as a needle minder from 5 Times Blessed. I had ordered several things from 5 Times Blessed Etsy site, and when it came in, I loved the color. I loved that it was a clock face, because when I was growing up, my mom and dad had this gorgeous remade or refurbished antique clock, and they named it Sweetheart, and then my sister inherited it. And so when I saw this needle minder as the clock face, I instantly thought of Sweetheart. So I was going to do it where I could remove it if I wanted to, and then it just wasn't working. So I actually used the E6000 glue, and I glued it. But also when I got it, the needle minder wasn't really holding on to the needles as strong as I wanted to, because I am used to, I only have a couple of these, but the zappy dots are strong. So strong. The zappy dots are strong, and they have a strong, large magnet on the back. So I wanted something strong because I get very distracted and I've lost needles before. So all I did was I actually used one of the magnets that came with this magnetic board. I show this in my perfect stitching setup. I think it's video number 3. Knitter's Pride. I use this a lot, but it came with some square, I think NiCad magnets, but I don't use them because I'm using the needle minder, so it worked out perfect. So I just put that behind it and used it and glued that all down. So now that strong magnet is doing a better job at keeping that needle on, but I loved it because it matched. And then this was the inside. So I am taking forever to show this, but that's the inside. So I didn't change it. I just used that little piece of cardboard. I put it behind it, put it up to my window, and I thought, there, that's going to be perfect. So these are those. So this is a pincushion, but if I was to stick them in straight, it wouldn't go in there all the way. It would stick up. But if you do it at an angle, especially if you're looking at it right, it goes in, and they're beautiful because they match. They're blue and gold. Those are the glass head pins. Now, this one, to tell you how I did it, I was going to use this as the backing, but then I realized it wouldn't go in very easily. So I just cut another piece like this and then shaved off like a 1/16 of an inch on this side and this side. Then I used 8 layers of batting. I was going to make a small pillow to put in here, and then I realized I wanted it flat. See how crazy I am? I wanted it flat so I could see the whole design. And so I had to figure out how could I do this. So I laced it on 8 layers of batting. So it was like Princess and the Pea. But the one mistake I didn't do was plan enough. I had already trimmed it. And so the back of it was kind of tighter. But I just put that together, squished it in there, and it fits in there perfect. I can pop it out if I need to, but I'm so happy with this. So as I'm stitching, I can stitch with it open, and I can stick a needle in there, I can stick whatever, and it can just sit open like this. So then we've got, this is where I was just going to do orts. So the loose threads, because it's wool, it will hold on to that. Scissors, and then this, some people say don't use a seam ripper to pick out your stitches. I do. Disclaimer, if it doesn't work for you, don't use it. If it works for me, I'm using it. So this was one that just came with a sewing machine. It was tiny, so it's gonna work. And yeah, you can rip through your linen, and yeah, I have, but I still use it. Okay, so on to this last thing. This is the super fun thing, but see, oh, and it looks like a cross too, and I liked that. So that's how I came up with that. Now, this little guy is so tiny. Look at that. Tiny little guy, but also because I messed up on something. I had drawn this out and I was going to use this. I was going to do a bee and then this medallion, and I just was not happy. At first I was going to do it with that color, and then I thought, oh, what about that color? And then I just thought, I don't like any of them. It doesn't look bad here, but I just didn't like any of them, so I just thought, well, BE, that's good enough. But I had used up all that piece of fabric, so it really had to be tiny, but it works. So my initials, that's the front. I tried to glue, I was going to glue a magnet on it and have it stick there. It didn't work, but it's there. So I freehanded this heart. It's wool, and it's great for holding on to needles. I stitched it on with the whip stitch, the Maggie's Way. I buttonhole stitched around the edge, and it has this tiny, tiny pocket. This is the real reason that I could have just used that needle minder magnet for my needles, but I also like to have extra needles because I do so many forms of stitching. It's just not cross stitch needles. I need the hand applique needles, and I need just regular sewing needles when I'm finishing, and then I also need the embroidery needles when I'm doing I'm watching birds right outside my window. Let's close my eyes. When I'm doing the hand quilting. Okay, these barely fit. So here's my little teeny tiny ultra threader, which I kind of bent when I used it for the first time last night, but it still works. And then this just fits. So these, you get twice as many as this, but I always cut it like this and put it in my needle books, but this one barely fits in, so I could cut it and it's like that. But this was just fun. I will put the dimensions in, I'll put the dimensions in the drop down thing because I'm sweating because it's hot. Let me open the window. That's gonna be better. Okay, so I'll put the dimensions in there, and then I will have those pictures that I put on Instagram. Now hopefully that will make sense, but I'm just not a tutorial type of person because I'm so distractible and I'm sweaty. I'm so distractible, and I had a friend come over and I was talking to her about garden design, and we talked for 3.5 hours this morning. So I've been talking a lot. But this was to show you too, like this is what I did. The bottom of the plain box, I just got the Aleen's glue, and I didn't do it super thick, but I used the nozzle to get it all over, especially in the corners. And that's where I tried to use that E6000 and to hold down the needle book, and it just didn't work out. So now it's okay that it's loose. So that is my story. Now, if you go to make one of these, realize it's not thick at all. So this, because it puffs out right here, it can only have narrow things, because as you shut it, that goes down into that space. And then this one, the reason I was having trouble with this, I thought in my drawing I could fit 4 of these different spools here in my drawing, but drawing is not reality, because this takes up space. See how much space that takes up? It needs the whole space up here to be able to shut. So that's why, where's my needle book? That's why this actually works well to keep those there, and I can shut that and have that. And then when it's open, I have literally talked for a half hour about this. It's open, I can leave this sitting on my table right there or wherever I'm stitching and do my thing. So I loved the colors, and I'm generally not a blue person, and I loved using a different color. I loved the blue and the tan and playing with the colors. So that's my story, and I totally enjoyed making it, but I had to really, really be in the mood. Then I was thinking, I'm like dripping, literally dripping with sweat. Let's see if I can get this open more. And I was gonna video this morning, but when my friend was able to come over this morning, I thought that is more important. Not that she's more important than you. That was the time that it worked for her to come over, so we were not in the sun. We're good to go. All right, so what will I do with this? I was even thinking I could just use this as a finish stitching it and use it for a bookmark. There we go, because I can't throw anything away. So over to this one now, because it is Sampler September, and I know samplers are look at that, guys, look at that. Samplers are just a mix of different motifs, different alphabets, because I know that the girls made samplers so that they could practice different alphabets so that they could they could embroider or cross stitch on their linens to mark them. And so that's why that's why there's so many different letters on some samplers. So just in my head, I was thinking, well, what alphabet samplers do I have? I have some bigger samplers, and I'm not going to start those until I finish some of my other ones. And I'm in this kick to do smalls. So I just went through looking for all the things with letters, which is why I did that one. So I then started to work on this one. And on my last video, I shared that Vintage Sand Dune by Lakeside Linen is my absolute favorite piece of fabric. And I only had one piece left. And don't feel sorry for me, because I showed a whole box of linens that I have. And then I also have a lot of things kitted up, and I've only been back into cross stitching for a year. So that's why, stitch what you got, girl. This is my piece that I have left, and it's a beautiful piece. And I had such a hard time. So when I used that Otter Creek to do the blue, it was gorgeous, because I was thinking, I don't know that I want blue, but it was gorgeous. I loved it. So then I started stitching this, and it's supposed to be stitched in black. Now, what color do they call for? I don't even know, because I was just going to use what I had. Oh, that was the thing. I was going to stitch what I got. But either way, it is a black thread blackboard. Okay, so blackboard. Oh, that's funny. I have blackboard. Why didn't I try it? I don't know. I just wanted to use something else. I was going to use, it just wasn't working for me, and I may not even finish it because it's not working for me. So I used antique black silk. You would think I would love it. No, I tried one. That one is a 32. This one is a 32, which is called for. I did one strand, didn't like it. Did two strands, didn't like it. Went back to one strand, didn't like it. And I was like, oh, what is up? And then I tried probably like onyx. Onyx is really my favorite week's black, because it's black and gray and faded and gorgeous. It wasn't working. So this is a black one. Which color, I don't know. And then I got out, I thought, well, my front room is really brown, and the antique piece of furniture that I'm gonna put this by is brown. So I switched over to using molasses, and it's beautiful. And I decided to do 2/2. And I was stitching it, and I was like, I'm not loving this. Why am I not loving it? And so I just put it away, and I just thought, I'll move on to something else. And I just thought, why am I not loving it? I don't know, because this is the thing. Here's my other stitching box. I already shared all about this in 2 past videos. This box is super cool because it's flat. It's cigar box my dad bought for my mom. This one, you cannot have it straight and sit up, but I can lean it. So I can lean it against something, which is what I would do in a little vignette, because I'm going to have it out as decoration too. So back to this. This is the 32 count sand dune called for. This is from Loose Feathers Autumn by Blackbird Designs. This and this were both in that book. They were both called for 32 count vintage sand dune, which is why I purchased this. Loved it. The colors are different. So, I don't know. The colors here are dark, but it will lighten up when I get some other colors on there. But I just thought, I was analyzing myself. What is the problem and what can I do to make it better? Because I love vintage sand dune. And then I was just thinking, maybe I need to draw in more of those colors now so I see if I like it. And then this was vintage sand dune. And this is, so any of you that haven't, that this is your first video, this is what you get with me. But this is a sewing box that I made. I'm having fun with smalls and getting things done, but right now these are in my front room because I don't really need sewing boxes. These are in my front room because I put all my fall, I put all my fall decorations up. So since I'm squirrely, I'm not going to go over what all these are because I did, so if you go back to, I think it's my number 5, that long ago. Yes, FlossTube number 5 is autumn stitching. FlossTube number 4, I think, is all about my threads. FlossTube number 3 must have been the one about the perfect stitching setup, which I'm going to share with you a fix that one of my viewers shared with me. So what my problem is, maybe I just need to get that gold around the edge and see if that draws me to it, or maybe I just need to put it away and do something else, because even if I don't make it, I got my money's worth out of that pattern for sure. But I really like it, so get over it. Get over it. That's what I'm saying to myself. Okay, so let's get this put away. Now, as I'm thinking about Sampler September, I'm going to have a drink. Have a drink, guys. Water is important. Especially if you're sweating in sunny California, which is not sunny right now. It's just hot. Oh, okay. I'm looking at the stuff I have in front of me. So, the other thing that I have is when I made that foray to Hobby Lobby, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby, but it also could have been Michael's or Joann's. Just another small box. And I thought, oh, this would be perfect. It's magnet. I like magnets. This would be perfect for orts. It's small. And then I thought, well, what else could I put in there? And of course, I tried my threads because these are my Aurifil and they're gorgeous, but nope, it's too big. I mean, it could make it. It's not like it couldn't go in there, but I want it to shut. I make my own lip balms. So my lip balm, which I'm addicted to lip balms. I've got them everywhere. See? That's in there because I always have one next to me and it's usually just sitting out on the table. I will either do fabric or wool at the bottom. The light's reflecting because, oh, all you sweet people up north, all the fire, the smoke we've had the last couple days, so I'm sorry. But that's why the light is so weird, because all that smoke has come down. My heart goes out to those because we've been affected by fires greatly in our mountains. So the light is weird. But I could see a needle minder glued here. I could see wool down here. And I can even put my little thimble pad and the little needle threader in here. So what am I going to put on here? This is how I decide what I'm going to do. I have this that was a botched project from something. And then what I do, like, can you see? Yes, I think you can see. I can see shadow behind here. So I can see, oh, yep, that'll fit there. I'll center it. And I was thinking I might paint it. This is sable. I think Gentle Art sable, and it has a little bit of a purpley color in there. But I may do sable and paint it, or I may do stained wood. I don't know. But just something fun, because I had so much fun doing that sewing box. I'm going to need to make another. But look at this. Recognize that? I did 2 of them. And this was my 3rd attempt. I shared with this in my last video. Vintage button. This was going to go on a whole nother project, and it didn't work for that. And so I did a project bag out of it. And what is in this project bag? But what I was working on. So this is the project. Camelot's Rose needle book. That's the piece. So I was brand new to stitching when I got this pattern, and I thought, I got Cordy's Special Blend by R&R, and I thought, it looks close enough, I'll use that. But I already shared about this, but this is Dried Roses. It's a silk by Thread Gatherer, and I loved the actual picture on Wendy Petros. This is From the Heart Needle Art. So I loved that thread. That's why I bought Cappuccino. I think this is 32 count by Weeks. And I just flipped it because I really, really like the alphabet. That's what I'm going to have on the front of this needle book. And you can see the colors are gorgeous. I may lighten up that one. I may restitch that one, but I loved the colors. They're actually prettier in person, but you get that look of it's just neat and dark. And there it is again right there. I was watching something upsetting on YouTube. I really need to stop doing that, especially before I go to bed. And I had totally stitched this in green when it was supposed to be in brown, so I'm unstitching it, but stitching is fun, so I'm not going to get all worked up. And I was just doing my own colors on that conversion, but that's a fun one. But of course I'm going to change it up because I'm addicted to needle books. And you can see she has the pattern in here on how to do it. This is supposed to be the front, but I'm just going to switch it. So this is the back, this is the front. They're both sides are gorgeous. And that's the neat thing about like pillows. So if you have a pillow, it can be a pincushion, it could be a decoration, it could be whatever you want. But also, so can a needle book. A needle book could also be a decoration. And so that's how, when I was looking, that's why I really like needle books, because I can use them, I decorate with them as well. So what I had come up with was looking at what my needs are, and I just came up with something different, a little bit different. I need those little pockets for my funky little things that I use, but I just drew up, I'm going to do something a little different for the heart. I'm going to make a different flap because honestly I've stitched enough of these and I'm using them that I don't want one more of them. And so I'm just going to take the alphabet and I'm going to write stitch, do one of the flowers, do some fabric, and then I'm going to do the ABC and put that on there as a little pocket. So we'll see, will I actually get that done? This has been in the works now for a year, and I really would like to just wrap it up because it's gorgeous and I want to use it. So that's what I've been working on and stitching, and I've really been, because I've been mentally exhausted, I can't even stand up. I've been mentally exhausted, so a lot of times I'm too tired to stitch sometimes, and so I love just looking through, planning, seeing what I've stitched, and all that kind of fun stuff. So this is what I've been doing. I've been playing. Now I was thinking about what are all the things that I already have going that are alphabets. And the other one is this Forever project, my Oh Joyous Day project, but I started a sal called Joy Nevertheless, and I have really been MIA. Gorgeous colors. I have not gotten very much done, so I thought this would be a perfect chance to get some more stitching done because I love the colors. These are gorgeous colors, and there you go. There's that alphabet. That is something that this is what I did, what I got out a couple days ago. I got my baskets out when I was feeling kind of down, and I was just looking for some fun things. Instead of staying depressed, I wanted to see what could I do that was fun. This one, this is my project bag again, Sheepish Designs. You can go on Pinterest and it does say, so Sheepish Designs, you can just Pinterest baby alphabet. But it's free on there, and it even says, because I'm always wondering, did someone, it says complimentary designs. So that's what I did, and I shared before about, I tea-dyed the heck out of it, so it's darker. So let's just talk about what's in here. It's funny because I was having my coffee looking after my friend left, I was having my coffee. I thought, okay, I got to not talk for a little bit, looking at my project bags, and they were all like tones of red. So that's my mood right now, is the red too. This one I stitched on one weekend for the Blackbirds weekend. And see, this has got that sweet little alphabet. And I have a start, and I'm doing, this is Vintage Country Mocha. So I was doing my own color conversion, and I'll share that when I get it done. Oh, there we go. This is the beginning, and then the alphabet there. So I could pull that one out and do that one. And I was having so much fun when I was stitching that one. But it's amazing. You know, that's why I need to stop. After I was talking to my friend Lisa, and we were just talking about the anxiety that we're getting, and I've also talked to another friend about having too many things gives you anxiety. And that's where I thought there's enough anxiety going on in my life and in the world. So even if I had all the money in the world, I need to stop buying stuff because I have so much, and I know I'm not going to have time to do it all. And that's where the anxiety kicks in. It's like, I've got all the stuff, and so now it's like, all right, let's stitch it, baby. Let's stitch it then, and not knock over my notes or you guys. Okay, so this one, I shared about that one before. My favorite project bag, and I have not worked on it, but I will. Oh, actually 2 of them. Whew, I got a lot of stuff in here. I don't want to dump it out on the floor, so let's just show you what the project is, because it's down buried in there eventually. Okay, this one was a very good book. Ooh la la. I waited a long time before I bought it, because when I was just looking at the pictures, there was only one. And for those of you that have watched me over and over, this might be a good time to take a break and tune me out for a minute. But this is one that I really wanted, and I knew it was in a Blackbird book. I believe it's called Weekends. A quilt book. This was in there too, but there wasn't anything else in there that I wanted to do, and so I bought this. And I even have the called for linen, so that's an alphabet one. That's why I bought it. But then as I look through this, it's like, oh my gosh, I gotta stitch everything. I'm gonna do it as a needle book. So this one is a little bit French, but it can also be done that way. And I'm doing it on 40 count because I wanted it a small needle book. I realize 36 is my favorite. 1/2, 36, my favorite. So 1/2 on 40, doable, just not my favorite. So why was I going to show you this? I can't remember why I was going to show you this, but let's just show it to you. I think because when I was doing my video last, I don't think I showed you this. So this I like better. I may restitch it on a darker cloth because it just didn't come out as primitive as I wanted it, and I trimmed it too small when I did the cross hatch. It's great for a project bag, but I may redo it a little more primitive for a pin tuck. This is Key to My Heart, Hello Keep, Primitive Stitchin', no G at the end, by Shelly Auen, A-U-E-N. So, Etsy site. But I think that's why I wanted to show it, because my project is okay, and maybe I want to redeem it by doing it again the way it really should have come out. I have a couple other things that I got out. Last night, I had finished that project, and I was just my brain was like, oh, it needed to chill out because it had worked really hard. And, oh, here we go. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to sit down and look at something that I want to stitch. And right now I'm all into fall because yesterday I did my fall decorating in the front room and then in here. So I was thinking, oh, I need more things to stitch up and decorate with. So, of course, this is my Garden Time by Brenda Gervais, very old wool project, a wool pattern, and one that I did in my Wool Along Friends hashtag. But I got out this project because if you want fall, Winds of Autumn, Blackbird Designs, so many of these projects I want to do. This is the one I'm working on. Haven't done anything on it, but that's why it's out here. But I love these bags because I can get a lot in it. Need to get working on it. I really want to jump up and do those big leaves, because when Celeste shows her, she has those big leaves. I can jump up there because I got my tree. I can do it. Then this one is, this I need to work on. Again, I haven't worked on it since I did my last FlossTube. So why am I showing you again? Maybe for the first time viewer to watch. So Waiting for the Harvest. This is the color it was supposed to be, but Carol's Salt Box Stitcher on her number 30 FlossTube video showed how she did it in Nutmeg by Gentle Art. I think I'm going to do the birds in a darker color for the brown across the top. This was Stitch What You Got, Cordy's Special Blend. That was also this. It's the end of it. Boom, it will be done. Then I have the 32 count doubloon because I don't have bee's knees, which is called for. Oh, I know why I was going to show this to you, because of what I was just playing with last night. This one is for, is it Winds of Autumn? Yeah, First Winds of Autumn. This is the project. I'm not going to do it as a strawberry because I want to see the whole pattern. I'll probably do it as a pillow, or who knows by then what it will be. But it was just so funny as I was gathering, and so that's where Stitch What You Got. This is very similar, I believe, to Bee's Knees because it's that yellowy doubloon. Then these are the colors that go with it, and they're just so delicious. But it was funny, I was just flipping through the colors, food related, and I was hungry. Molasses, let's see, not that one. Sage, sweet potato, cinnamon twist, roasted fig, marmalade, chickpea, bright leaf, amber. Okay, so many food related ones. Was that a plan? I don't know. Does Weeks always do food ones? No, but I just thought that was so funny. So many food related ones. And then, my goodness, so many other ones. So this was from the Mighty Acorn one. Sage, cognic, cocoa, swamp water, Oscar oilcloth, chestnut. Okay, and then nutmeg. So very food related, but those are all the fall colors. So I was just having fun, and I was laying on my couch watching a FlossTube, and I was just kind of dozing off, but I kept opening my eyes and just looking at these beautiful colors. So that's what I do when I'm too tired to stitch. I look at stuff that I want to stitch. So that's what I just wanted to share with you, is what I do to deal with my stress, and what I do. I would do it if I was stressed or not, but it's just that positive way of trying to help myself get over something I cannot control. 57 minutes. Okay, now in my last video I showed all my finishes. No, I showed all my fully finished items. I forgot to show you my finishes because there is almost no finishes that I have. They're either whips or fully finished. I only have, I think, 2 finished, well, 3 because of this. So 1, 2, 3. Where's the other one? Anyway, because I had that goal, I looked forward to the goal of when I do my Flossiversary, my first year video, I want to have these things finished. And so that was my goal, and it really worked, except for a big project. This one I love. This one, one that I would do for Valentine's, very unusual because there's texture. This was a 28 count Liberty Gathering R&R, and I used my Valdani, whoops, that one's attached. I used my Pearl Cotton size 12 because I wanted that dimension, because I wanted to use my sulky threads and they were just too modern. I wanted something more primitive. So I am really trying to do the videos because I do like to share a lot of stuff, but I don't necessarily want to copy and paste and find everything to type all that in. So I love you guys, but there's a limit, obviously. So I'm really trying to do my thumbnail on what I talk about in that video so you can see. I'm going to try to do a really cool thumbnail with this, showing one side the outside, one side the inside, because that's primarily what this video was about. But I also wanted to show you, this is It was a free pattern on Lori Brecklin's blog spot. I had it written down. Where did that thing go? Oh, I had it out. That's where it was. Okay. farmhouse.forgotten.blogspot.com. That was where I got the pattern. And so I made it up, and I really want to make a wall hanging because I really like to have seasonal things there. I want to make a wall hanging, and so it's going to take more time because I really want to use the paper pieced, the pineapple by Lori Holt. It's So Emma, her line of the 6-inch pineapple paper pieced pieces. And so I'm gonna I draw everything out, so that's where I've got it. That's the project. There's going to be 8 blocks around it, and I'm going to use these because I had cut these a little thin, and 1.5 inches is perfect for that. So that's my goal, and that's why it's still sitting there, because that will probably take a whole weekend to get that done. The other thing about the plain box, I thought, why do I have this out? That's why. Because I need to have another wool week that I called my Maggie week to do wool applique. I saturate myself in things. So when I do wool, I love to just focus on wool and have at least a whole week of doing that. I really need a whole month. And so I was thinking, wow, I could do a wool project in here, and these are just the wool pieces from this project that I started. So this is the blooming, and I want to make the little pocket purse, but I thought, oh my goodness, those fit perfect in here, and I think I've shared it before. I just need to do it. So the flower and the leaf. So wouldn't that be cute for something? Of course it would. Do we have time to get it done? Who knows? Okay, last, and gosh, I really should, I'll have to reference this again because now not many people watch this full hour. So I'll talk about this again at the beginning of another video so people don't miss it. But when I had done my perfect stitching setup, I do not get any, I don't monetize my videos. The only thing that I have ever gotten free is that amazing BenQ light. Adore it. Adore my BenQ light. That I got free for doing a review. These were not. So this, I just shared about the magnifying lamp that I have because I have to be able to see what I'm doing. And the problem was that I was adjusting the lamp head, and I showed the one where it was broken. I replaced it because I stitch all the time. And then I think this is like a shoe shine thing. This is from Ramada, but it is perfect so that way you don't start something on fire. It's the perfect cover for this, so it protects it and keeps it from starting your stitching on fire. Now, one of my wonderful viewers, because I was saying how I was probably going to repair it, and this was, I'm just going to read this to you from one of my viewers. So this is Kimberly. So Kimberly O'Boyle. So this was on my FlossTube number 3 video. I'm just going to read it to you, and it should make sense so that you can maybe do this fix too, because several people have said yes, the same thing happened to them. And it's a $30 to $40 lamp, so at least it's not hundreds, because if it was hundreds, it should not have broken. This was the fix. The same thing happened to me with the exact same light. So frustrating. My best friend is a plumber, so he took a piece of blue Tyvek, which is rigid plastic tubing about 3 inches long, sliced down the center like 2 hot dog buns, sandwiched the broken part, and then used the adjustable clamp to keep them together, the kind where it wraps around and you screw it and it keeps it tight, and really pushed it in so it was far up as possible, then tightened the screws super hard. Well, it has been a good fix because it's been like that for almost a year now. I had also duct taped underneath, and I think it helps keep the tubing from sliding backwards down that widening part where it breaks. I didn't want to get another one and have the same thing happen. So I copy and pasted that on someone else's comment that said the same thing, and I thought, well, I can just share it. So I'll share it again, but again, I was simply just sharing what I got and what I loved, and it wasn't, I stitch all the time, and I was moving it by that lamp. This new one, I move the arm, but it's sure not as convenient. But I just wanted to share that, knowing that other people have had that happen too. Now, how far are we? We're an hour into this. A couple things. I've been cleaning out the garage. I need to look for something that's in the garage, and as I was doing it, I thought I may as well clean. And I found some random things that I just wanted to share because they're darling. Again, I have always loved old vintage things. So I got this sometime in my life. I don't know if it was a family heirloom and it's been water damaged, or if someone gave it to me because when I was young, and it's water damaged, but it's hand, I looked at those. Those are not machine stitches. It was hand sewn. And I'm sorry that it's water damaged, but it also just looks more primitive, but it's smocked and it's embroidered and it's gorgeous. So I used to have it displayed, then I put it in the garage, not very carefully. That was my other bad. But I'm going to figure out how to use this in a display. So I just wanted to share that because it is just so, oh my goodness, it's just so beautiful in the handwork on that. Then in that same box, I found this, and I've got to wash this, but this, I found a note. It's old, so it's an old antique quilt that someone made into a pot holder. Very, very faded, but there's a note on the back that I was trying to read from my mom, and she wrote it to me, and I was trying to read it, and it was remnants of something. Maybe my mom made this. It says, this is Bonnie's pot holder. It's on loan to, oh my gosh, I had it, and that's what it was. It says, this is Bonnie's pot holder. It's on loan to me for 6 years, return in 2004. So we would do stuff like that, where it would be like, because she had already moved to Colorado. And it's like, yeah, you can borrow this for a few years and then give it back. So because she had started quilting, I said, oh, you need this, because I've always loved old stuff. So it was fun. I just found that, and I love notes from my mom. I keep looking at that one. No, I can see it's been 1:07. So now is the chatty part. The last, when has it not? It's just been getting, life in the world and the nation, and for conservatives and people that value their freedoms, life has just been getting harder and harder and harder. And so this is what I call the good stuff, but it's often the hard stuff. But the good stuff is how I walk my faith out in my life so I can stay functional, because I've not always been functional. And so this is where I share my faith and some of my viewpoints right now. So thank you for watching. If this is where you want to check out, I value you and I appreciate you. And then this is where life really got hard last week, and my depression ramped up very high. And so I was picking something up at the church office, and our church, a lot of people all over the world watch our church, Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, Pastor Jack Hibbs, many awesome pastors there and amazing resources. And so I went down to pick something up at the church office, and it had just, there are some hard decisions we're needing to make right now, and friends are going through some really hard times right now. And I just went and I said, can I just have prayer? And I was crying by then. I said, can I just have someone pray for me? Because they always say, come up front and we'll pray with you. And so I knew that they would do that in the church office too. And so a pastor had me come back and just shared with me some good, I just wanted prayer, but I got some counseling too, which was wonderful. And I was sharing that with a friend of mine because I had just come from there, and she said, tell me what he said, because I need it too. So I'm going to tell y'all what he's, not the whole thing of what he said, but the things that he suggested that I do. So he got an idea of what was going on in my life and what I was thinking and what. but these are the things that he suggested, and I know that these are things that he suggests for anybody who comes in a tough situation. Read your Bible and pray every day. And he was saying you don't have to read tons and tons and tons and tons. You know you. If you need to read a lot every day, read a lot every day. If you need to read a small amount every day, read a small amount every day. And because he knew I had been a Christian all my life, I accepted the Lord Jesus as my Savior as a little girl. And I've been walking with the Lord, sometimes closer, sometimes not as close, since then. So he recommended that I read again in John, and he started reading it. I had memorized at least that whole first chapter, and so as he was reading it, it was coming in my mind. So I'm working on reading just small chunks and really digesting. I have an amazing Bible. So this is my favorite Bible. It is the Nelson Study Bible, and it is the New King James Version. And so when I was opening it up to John, okay, as I was opening it up to John, these are thin pages, so I don't want to rip it. You can see there is tons. It's just that tiny top part that's actual scripture. This is commentary. This is more in depth. This is all commentary. So as I'm really trying to get in depth, it was fascinating to really read it small chunks with purpose. It was awesome. So read and pray. So that was one aspect. And then his other thing was to memorize. And I had memorized when I was a child. I memorized when the kids were doing homeschooling, and I've gotten lazy. But as soon as verses come up, it's like, oh, I know that, I know that, I know that. So that's an important part of it. And while I was there in that counseling session, he was talking about something, and all of a sudden a verse popped up in my mind, and it was like, oh, and the verse was awesome. And so I'm going to share that with you. It's Ephesians 3:20. And I just thought, okay, why did God bring that verse up, or why did it bubble up? So that's my verse that I'm going to memorize. I already know most of the verse. That's the verse I'm going to meditate on this month, is this verse, because it applies exactly to the situation my husband and I and many of our friends are in. And then the other thing was evangelize. And so just share your faith. And it was funny, I said, you know, I'm usually a very timid, shy, introverted person, and I started this video channel, and I actually share my faith at the end. And if any of you guys are lonely and want support, my stitching family is amazing. Probably now even more and more. It used to be like half of my comments were about the spiritual faith aspect that I share, or just thanking me for doing it. Now it's about 75%. So the comments are amazing, and they're beautiful, and they're verses that are shared, things that I write down, just rich. So that would be a great resource. So much so, I went in, my husband was watching TV, and I'd been reading and commenting on my comments. And I told my husband, I said, because most of the people that know me don't watch my videos. They give me enough as it is. It's just you guys all over the world in my stitching family that watches my videos. And so I was telling him, I said, okay, so if I die, I said, you know what might be kind of cool for you, you know, unless he died with me, what might be cool for you is to go onto my channel and actually watch my videos, because then you could be with me again. And he just kind of looked at me weird, like, I don't want to think about this. And then I said, you know what? You should read every single one of those comments on every single one of those videos, because it's like a memorial service where people get up and share about how wonderful. I'm hoping that's what they do. The memorial services I've been have been about how awesome that person was. I said you would literally be like thousands of people sharing about me at a memorial service. You could save your money, save the trouble, just do that for yourself. That could be my memorial service. So, and I got to lighten it up, because those were thoughts that I had right now too. But that's the real deal. That's the real thought, is how special you guys are, and the connection that we have because of my faith, whether you guys stitch or not. So some people I know don't, maybe they followed me because of quilting. They don't even cross stitch, but they watch the cross stitch videos because I chat and I share my faith. And so I love it. I love it. And that's why I do these. I was just going to think, oh, I'm supposed to be at work. No, I still got a little time. I'm so distracted. So there have been a lot of different things going on, and just to spare you guys all of that, it's just caused us to have a lot of deep thoughts about the price we're willing to pay for some of the choices that we're making. And so much so that there was a hard decision that I made of something that I may be willing to give up. And that thing, my home, we're just contemplating moving from California. This is my first home. We've been here in a couple weeks. It'll be our 34th anniversary. I have never, I've always talked about moving in the future when we retire. That was incredibly hard for me to tell my husband. If this is a conversation we need to have, I'm telling you, we can have that conversation. That was huge. I was bawling when I was telling him that. And that's why I can smile now, because I've processed through that for a whole week, but it got me so depressed, and about the whole world situation, the nation situation. It was crazy. And so that's where I knew I hit a wall, and I know I've got my network. I've got my things that I do when I get really down, and I worked it. I did it. So just a lot of stuff. But in that, what I did, instead of just, I have my moleskin notebooks, and this was from Carol. She had given me some stickers, but I love notebooks. So I have my notebook, and I thought, I want my Bible memory. I have a lot of different Bible memory things around the house, but I wanted a new one for such a time as this. So instead of just writing down that Ephesians 3:20 passage, I read above it and below it, and I thought, oh, I need this. So this is what I did. Another sticker from Carol. I wrote it all out, and it's so good for me to write. It was like journaling, but journaling Bible. And then I sat down again this morning and I just reread it so I can have a sweet little book with me of special passages and read it. But as I was reading this, I was thinking, so I'm just trying to dissect it. What is it really saying? What can I get out of it right now? Where is it having me focus? And I was really seeing that the whole passage was not so much about me. It was Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit, the Trinity. And I thought, that's good. I mean, it is about me too. My problems are me. So if I can get my eyes off me and focus on my God, who is amazing, that's where I need to be. And so I want to read this whole, so this is Ephesians 3:14 through 21. And this is Paul. For this reason I bow my knees to the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, from whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named, that he would grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might through his Spirit in the inner man, or the inner woman, it's mankind, that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith. And he is in my heart because I asked him into my heart to be my Savior. That you may be rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the width, the length, the depth, and height, to know the love of Christ which passes knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Now this is the verse that came to my mind in that counseling session. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us, to him be glory in the church by Christ Jesus to all generations forever and ever. Amen. And I love that concept of getting my eyes off me and onto my Jesus. Like, I can see the hills, I can see the mountains from my window. And I think of that often. I lift up my eyes up to the hills from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. I have a lot of Bible in my head. I may get some words off and I don't know where to find them, but I can Google it and find it. But that's the important thing. So for any of you that struggle, who's not struggling now in some form or another, pray, read and pray, memorize, evangelize. Just share the hope that you have. There's the verse in the Bible that says, comfort others with the comfort that you've received. And that's what I do and what I call the good stuff. I'm just sharing with you what's working for me, because I know a lot of the stuff that's working for me works for you guys too. So there you go. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Going on my 2nd year now, sharing in this fun box that I love. And trying to get our eyes off. We have to deal with the problems, but if we focus on those all the time, it's going to take us down. And God has created us to do his purpose, and that's what I want to do. I want to be the woman that God called me to be. Not crying all the time. Crying is okay. Processing is okay. Getting up and doing stuff is what I want to do. So thank you guys. God bless you, and may you and I choose joy nevertheless.